Let's get more now, though, on that crucial Commons vote on the proposals for regulating the press. With me here in the studio, the former director of the Press Complaints Commission, Stig Abell. Stig, good afternoon.
Hi.
We spoke, didn't we, just after the Leveson report was released?
We did.
There was a lot of optimism around from people who wanted regulation. What's happened?
Well, it's become a political football, as it was always, I suppose, going to. And if you're an optimist, you could say, well, we're now coming to the end of that period. There is a chance of getting something that went as better than it went before. But at the moment, there's still a lot of people shouting the sort of the politics of piety, with Nick Clegg and Ed Miliband trying to scramble up to the moral high ground and David Cameron sort of clinging at their heels trying to stop them. But at least after tomorrow, that period should be over and we can get on with, the world can get on with their lives, and actually a new regulator to replace the Press Complaints Commission can start being constructed.
There's suggestions on Twitter from Tom Newton-Dunn, Sun's political editor, that Cameron and Clegg are meeting this afternoon. What sort of compromises could there be done that will see everybody happy?
Well, I think nobody will be happy, which is one sign of a good compromise in the end. But I think that because there's not that much difference, if you write down the difference between Nick Clegg and David Cameron, say, it's very, very small.
Is it?
And so there's a risk for everyone with a big debate tomorrow. If the government wins, Nick Clegg looks very foolish, and Ed Miliband looks weak. If David Cameron loses, he looks like he's not in control of events. And so there's so much risk on all sides, really. They may well just get together and say, well, we're only arguing about two minor things. The public do not care about this. The public just want to be reassured that if there's a problem with the press behaviour, there'll be something robust in place to solve it. Some of the shouting and hacked off do it better than most. If that can all be put to one side, there's not that much difference between people, and I think they could well get it settled ahead of Monday.
I mean, hacked off do the shouting, they're very effective, their campaign, but the newspapers, they have newsprint, they have papers that they sell every week that they can do it, and I've just been reading the papers, and there are several big statements in them. Do you see it as harsh as a gagging of the free press, as the end of the free press?
No, and both sides have the sort of zealotry of the self-righteous about them. Hacked off do it, and then the papers in return. And you know, having this discussion about a royal charter with a bit of legislation doesn't mean that Britain will become Zimbabwe tomorrow.
I mean, the broadcast media have that sort of regulation.
The broadcasters have full statutory regulation. There's an argument that we're talking about still self-regulation for newspapers, but with legislation. So why not everyone be honest and say this is a form of statutory regulation? It's stopping short of that, and there will still be a degree of freedom for the press. But the problem is that this is what happened when Leveson, he issued his vast report, and then he went off to Australia to talk about the internet, which he didn't really do in the report itself. And now everyone's trying to kind of guess what he meant, and he's almost become an adjective.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about Leveson compliance, Leveson this, Leveson that, and no one actually fully appreciates what he was getting at. So there was always going to be the need for compromise, and hopefully we're heading towards that now.
Was it a waste of money, the whole Leveson inquiry, and the blushes that there were during the inquiry?
Well, I think the process itself was quite healthy. To get editors out from behind their desks and made to account for themselves, it was healthy. It shows you how difficult this is. And one of the criticisms of the PCC was, why didn't it just reform itself? Well, it did, but not as much as this. Because we're now 2 years down the line with millions of pounds spent, and we're still arguing about it. I mean, I don't think it was a waste of time. I think it was. It'll be good when it's over, though. Let's put it that way.
I'm sure the public would agree.
I'm sure that's right.
OK, Stig, thanks for coming in. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.